How does a computer work? This is a question that's very complicated and would make for a good video that might hit a higher time frame than 3 minutes. If you didn't know, computers are meant to process large amounts of information to help make things easier in our world. In modern days, though, computers are used for gaming and pushing subscribe and like buttons, so you should better do that. The history of computers is for another video, so let's begin. It all starts in the motherboard, a large circuit board that routes things from component to component and can often carry something called onboard graphics. We'll come back to that later. Next comes the processor, CPU, or central processing unit. It's usually located a little above the center of the board. This is the place where all the calculations happen. A constant data flow is coming in and out of the processor. The speed of this data helps determine how good the processor is. Another part of the rating is how many cores the CPU has or how many gates it has for the data. Threads are a fraction of the CPU that can process different parts of the processes running. An Intel Celeron, the least efficient and the oldest CPU in modern computers, has a data speed of 1.86 GHz and 2 cores and threads. An Intel Core i7 5960X has 8 cores, 16 threads, and runs at 3.0 GHz. All the data coming into the CPU comes from the RAM, or the random access memory. This is where all the data for the running processes are stored. It comes in 4 generations as of now: DDR4, DDR3, DDR2, and DDR. RAM is like processors, different sizes and different speeds. Average size is about 6 gigabytes of data. Average speed is about 1866 megahertz. Now comes the fun section: graphics. This is surprisingly simple. There are 3 major graphics companies: Intel, AMD, and NVIDIA. NVIDIA is preferred by most gamers. NVIDIA has a range of cards using PCI Express, which is the standard for motherboards today. NVIDIA is currently in their GTX series cards, ranging from GTX 260 to GTX 1080. The 1080 is the most powerful carried around today. For AMD, they released a bunch of Radeons. It is a lot less organized than NVIDIA, so I can't say for sure which Radeon card is the best, but the Radeon RX card seems to be the latest so far. Intel's not as good as either of those. Intel's more of a place for generic graphics, like embedded laptop graphics, graphics for people who want more of a workstation than a gaming PC. A graphics card isn't exactly required, though. A lot of motherboards come with onboard graphics, which you don't need a card. The hard drive. First things first, if you want a mass amount of memory, you should get a hard disk drive. If you want the fastest loading times ever, then a solid-state drive. A solid-state drive doesn't move, and the hard disk drive does. That's the difference. There are also things called hybrid drives that are half and half, if you want about equal speed and size. Lastly is the PSU, or the power supply unit. This is not that important, it just supplies the power. For better hardware, you usually need higher voltage. Therefore, laptops have less efficiency to conserve power. It's good to buy the power supply from a trustable brand because they tend to burn out quickly otherwise. So, all the components go to the motherboard. The motherboard sends programs to the RAM, calculations to the CPU, and rendering and visuals to the GPU. If you learned something from this video and you want to see more, please like, subscribe, and comment what I should explain next. Thank you for watching.